Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going to talk about a piece of software that is so fundamental, so ubiquitous, you probably don't even think about it anymore. It's the very thing you're likely using to watch this right now, your web browser. For what, 20 years now, it's been this quiet, dependable, and honestly, pretty passive window to the vast world of the internet. Think about your daily interactions with it. You type, you click, you search, you scroll, you read. The browser's job has been simple. Render the page, show you the information, and that's it. The heavy lifting, the real work of understanding what you're seeing, of connecting the dots between different pieces of information, of synthesizing it all into a coherent thought or a plan, that has been 100% on you. Your brain has been doing all the work. But that's all about to change. We are in the middle of a quiet but absolutely profound revolution. And no, this isn't just about some minor update, a new button tucked away in a menu, or a slightly faster loading time. This is, without exaggeration, the single biggest change to the experience of browsing since the invention of tabs. Artificial intelligence isn't just being bolted on, it is being woven directly into the very fabric of the browser. And this is transforming it from that simple, passive tool for viewing information into an active, intelligent partner, a co-pilot, that actually helps you think, create, and act. So we're going to go on a journey. We'll start with a single new feature and follow the thread all the way to a high-stakes three-way race to build the literal future of the internet. Okay, let's dive right in. So here's how we're going to break this all down today. Our journey is mapped out to build a complete picture from the ground up. First, we need to establish the why. Why is this happening now? We'll look at the fundamental shift in how we should think about the browser, moving from a window to a workspace. We have to diagnose the problem before we can appreciate the solution. Then, with that foundation laid, we're going to make it really concrete. We'll do a deep dive into Google's AI Copilot, looking specifically at Gemini and Chrome. This will be our case study to see how this tech actually works in the real world, right now. After we see what Google's up to, we have to zoom out and look at the bigger picture, because this is not happening in a vacuum. We'll explore the new browser wars, a fascinating three-way race for the future between tech giants with very different ideas. Finally, once we understand the present, we'll look to the horizon. Where is all of this headed? The final chapter is about your future digital agent, the ultimate destination for this technology, which sounds a bit like science fiction, but is closer than you think. All right, so first things first. To really grasp why this change is so massive, we have to start by diagnosing a problem. It's a problem we all experience every single day, but we probably don't have a name for it. It's that feeling of mental exhaustion you get after trying to do anything remotely complex online. Think about the last time you tried to plan a trip, or research a big purchase, or even just try to get to the bottom of a complicated topic. What did you do? You opened a tab, then another, and another. Before you know it, you have 20 tabs open. You're trying to copy and paste bits of information from one to another, and you're struggling to hold all these disparate facts in your head at the same time. That mental juggling act, that constant switching between contexts, that is the friction. That's the invisible tax we pay every single time we use the internet. And it's precisely that cognitive friction that these new AI-powered browsers are being designed to eliminate. This slide really gets to the heart of the paradigm shift. The browser, as we've known it, has been a pull system. That means you, the user, have to do all the work. You have to pull the information from the web. Let's stick with that trip planning example. You have a tab for the hotel, but is it a good price? So you open 3 more tabs for different booking sites. You have a tab for flight options. You have a couple of tabs with reviews of restaurants. You have another tab with a map to see how far the hotel is from everything. You are constantly jumping, clicking back and forth, trying to build a mental spreadsheet of your trip. It is genuinely exhausting. That is information overload and cognitive fatigue in a nutshell. Now, the new model completely flips this on its head. It aims to be a push system. The browser becomes an active partner, an intelligent workspace that collaborates with you. It sees what you're trying to accomplish, and it offers to help carry that cognitive load. It doesn't just show you the pieces, it helps you put the puzzle together. This idea, this evolution from a simple renderer to an active collaborator, is captured perfectly by this powerful new concept. The browser is becoming a cognition and execution operating system. Now let's just pause and unpack that phrase because it's so important. First, cognition. This means the browser is no longer just displaying pixels. It's designed to help you think, to help you understand, to help you synthesize information. It's like a research assistant. And then there's execution. This means it's designed to help you do things, to act on that newfound understanding. It's not just about showing you things anymore. It's about helping you understand them and then take the next step. And calling it an operating system is so fitting. An OS is the fundamental layer upon which everything else runs. The browser is becoming the operating system for your online life. This is a leap as significant as the move from the old command line interfaces, where you had to memorize and type every command, to the graphical user interface with icons and a mouse. It's about fundamentally redesigning our relationship with the computer at its most frequent and important touch point. Okay, so with that foundational theory in place, let's zoom in and get practical. We're going to look at Google's flagship entry into this new era, a suite of features powered by Gemini, built directly into the Chrome browser. Now, given that Chrome is the browser for the vast majority of the planet, any move Google makes here sends massive ripples across the entire web. And what's really fascinating is how they're approaching it. This isn't a radical, burn-it-all-down redesign. It is a very deliberate, and I would say strategically cautious first step into building this new kind of browser. Every little detail of how they've implemented it tells a story about their long-term vision and their anxiety. The absolute core value proposition here is what's called page-aware assistance. This is the magic trick. This isn't just a generic chatbot shoehorned into a sidebar. The AI can actually see and, more importantly, understand the content of the specific web page you are looking at. So let's break down what this means in the real world for each of these features. First, summarize. Imagine you're a student and a professor assigns a dense, 30-page academic paper. Instead of dedicating an hour to reading it, only to discover it's not quite what you needed, you can now simply ask the browser to give you a one-paragraph summary. Instantly, you know the gist and can decide if it's worth a deeper dive. Or think about a long, rambling online forum discussion. Contextual Q&A lets you ask specific questions about it, like, what are the main points of disagreement in this thread? And it will read the whole thing and synthesize an answer for you. Then there's explain concepts, which is a total game changer for learning. You're reading an article about finance and it mentions a term like derivative swaps. Instead of breaking your focus, opening a new tab and going down a Wikipedia rabbit hole, you can just highlight the term and ask the browser to explain it to you in simple language. And finally, my personal favorite, compare information. Let's say you're shopping for a new laptop and you found a page with a dozen different models. You can just ask the browser, put the specs for these 3 models into a table so I can compare them, and poof, it generates it for you. Each one of these features is a surgical strike against a specific type of friction that kills our focus and productivity online. Now, Google has been incredibly deliberate about how you interact with this AI. They are following a strict on-demand philosophy. This is key. The AI is completely silent and inactive. It does nothing until you explicitly summon it. You have to right-click or use a keyboard shortcut like Alt+G or type a command. And when you do activate it, the browser tab gets this subtle blue glowing border, which is a constant visual cue to you that the AI is now looking at your page. This design choice is not accidental, it is crucial. It's all about prioritizing user control, user agency, and most importantly, user trust. By making you, the user, initiate every single interaction, Google is actively trying to avoid the creepy factor. They don't want an AI that's always watching over your shoulder and interjecting with unwanted suggestions. They want it to feel like a tool that you consciously decide to pick up and use when you need it, rather than an ever-present, all-seeing assistant. It's a very cautious, trust-building strategy. And this brings us to a distinction that is so easy to miss, but it's the most important thing to understand about this feature. Using Gemini in the Chrome browser is a fundamentally different experience than going to the standalone Gemini website. The integrated version is context-aware. Let's use an analogy. The standalone website is like having a brilliant expert on the phone. You can ask them anything, but you have to describe your situation to them in painstaking detail. You have to copy the text from the article you're reading, switch tabs, paste it into the chat window, and then type your question. Now compare that to the integrated version. That's like having the same expert standing right beside you, looking at the exact same screen you are. It can see the page, it has the context, you can have a real-time conversation, even a voice conversation, about what you're both looking at. That seamless integration is where the magic happens. It's what elevates it from a simple chatbot into a genuine co-pilot for your browsing. But of course, there's a catch. This newfound power, this intelligent co-pilot, it isn't free. Google is making these advanced AI features a premium offering, bundling them into their paid Google One subscription plans, alongside things like extra storage. This is a massive, and I mean massive, strategic shift for the company. For decades, the entire business model of the web, led by Google, was that the browser is a free gateway to an ad-supported internet. We didn't pay for Chrome with money, we paid with our attention and our data, which fueled Google's gigantic ad machine. Now, Google is making a new argument. They are saying that this new layer of AI intelligence is so powerful, so valuable, that it is a product worth paying for in its own right. The browser is transforming into a SaaS platform, software as a service. You pay a monthly fee directly for the productivity it unlocks. This is a huge bet that enough people will find a smarter browser valuable enough to open their wallets for it. Now, as we've said, Google isn't making these moves in a vacuum. Their cautious, premium-focused strategy is a direct response to a ferociously competitive new landscape. For those who remember the 90s, the days of Internet Explorer versus Netscape Navigator, you'll know what a browser world looks like. Well, we are officially in a new one. But this time, the fight isn't about whose browser is fastest or who adheres best to web standards. This is a war of ideas. It's a three-way race between tech titans, each with a radically different philosophy for what an AI-powered browser should be. And the prize they're all fighting for is nothing less than control over the primary interface to our entire digital lives. To really understand the stakes of this new war, you have to look at the battlefield. Chrome's position is staggering. With over 2/3 of the entire global market, its dominance is absolute. And that is both its greatest strength and its most profound vulnerability. It's the default browser for billions of people, a massive advantage. But it also makes them a huge, slow-moving target, resistant to radical change because they can't risk alienating their user base. Then you have Safari, whose share is almost exclusively tied to the Apple ecosystem. It's a powerful walled garden with a very valuable and captive audience. And then you see Edge, way down there at under 5%. It's easy to dismiss them as a minor player, but that would be a mistake, because behind that small number is the full weight and resources of Microsoft, and they are using AI as a battering ram, a disruptive weapon to try and claw back market share from Chrome. Their small size gives them the freedom to be aggressive and take risks Google can't.
So let's meet the main challengers and their different philosophies. First, you have Microsoft with Copilot and Edge. They're taking a much more aggressive, proactive collaborator approach. Their killer feature, their main weapon against Chrome, is something called multi-tab RAG. RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation, but what it means is that Copilot can see and synthesize information from all of your open tabs at once. So you don't have to ask about just one page. You could have 5 different product pages open and ask, based on all these tabs, which of these has the best warranty and is available for delivery tomorrow? It works across your entire browsing session. Then on the other side, you have a completely different kind of competitor, the Arc browser. They're the UX-first innovator. Arc isn't trying to build an all-knowing, all-seeing assistant. Their bet is on user experience. They're focused on embedding small, almost invisible AI features that are frictionless and just feel delightful to use. For example, you can just hover your mouse over any link, and it will give you a 5-second AI-generated preview of what's on that page so you never waste a click again. Or its page search feature. Instead of hitting Control F and searching for an exact word, you can just ask a question like, where on this page does it mention the price? And it will find it for you. It's a totally different philosophy.
This table is the analytical heart of this whole discussion. It lays the competing strategies bare. Let's walk through it row by row, because the differences are so telling. First, core philosophy. Google is on-demand, cautious, putting you in control. Microsoft is proactive, trying to be a step ahead of you. Arc is frictionless, betting that elegant design and flow are what matter most. Next, multi-tab analysis. This is a huge one. Microsoft's ability to see across all tabs is its core advantage right now. Google and Arc are still largely focused on a single page at a time. Then we have agentic features, the future we'll talk about next. All are developing them, but in different ways. And then monetization, a complete divergence. Google wants you to pay a subscription. Microsoft is giving it away for free, using AI as a weapon to gain users for Edge and Windows. Arc is free for now, focused on building a great product first and figuring out the money later. Finally, the UI paradigm. Google's approach is additive. It's just the classic Chrome you know, with a new AI button added on. Microsoft is more integrative, with a core sidebar that's meant to reshape how you work. And Arc is revolutionary, completely throwing out the old design of tabs and bookmarks for something new. These aren't just small tweaks. They are fundamentally different bets on what we want our relationship with the internet to be. So, with this browser war raging, where is it all ultimately headed? What is the end game? Well, all the features we see today, the summaries, the Q&A, even Microsoft's fancy cross-tab analysis, they're just the prelude. They are the opening act. They are the training wheels for the real revolution. The true North Star that all of these companies are navigating towards is a concept known as agentic AI. And this is where things get really interesting. To really see the future, you have to understand this critical distinction between generative AI and agentic AI. Generative AI is what we've become familiar with over the last couple of years. It creates things. You give it a prompt, and it generates text, or an image, or a piece of code. It's an incredibly powerful creative partner. Agentic AI, on the other hand, does things. It's an AI of action. You don't give it a prompt to write about something, you give it a high-level goal. The agent then takes that goal, figures out a plan to achieve it, makes decisions along the way, and executes a series of multi-step tasks across the web on your behalf. Here's the simplest analogy. Asking a generative AI for help with a trip is like asking it to write you a sample itinerary. Asking an agentic AI is like saying, book the trip. So in practice, what does this look like? It completely changes your role as a user. You go from being the hands-on researcher and navigator to being the delegator and the final approver. Let's walk through that Seattle trip example with an agent. You state your goal with all its constraints. 3 days, $1,500 budget, hotel near Pike Place, and find a seafood cooking class. Now, the agent takes over. In the background, it's autonomously opening connections to airline sites, hotel booking engines, review platforms like TripAdvisor, and local activity sites. It's not just searching, it's analyzing. It's comparing flight times and layovers. It's reading hotel reviews and cross-referencing their location with your preference. It's checking the availability and price of cooking classes. Then, after all that work, it synthesizes everything and comes back to you, not with a list of 20 links, but with a single, complete, optimized plan. Here is the best flight on Alaska, a 4.5-star hotel that's a 5-minute walk from Pike Place and under budget. And I found a seafood class with 2 spots left on Saturday afternoon. The total cost is $1,450. Shall I book everything? That is a future they are all racing to build. Now, the rise of these agents has a profound implication that ripples out across the entire internet. The web itself is going to have to change. For 30 years, we've designed websites for human eyes and human clicks. But in the future, websites will also have to be designed to be AI-friendly. They'll need clear, structured data and robust APIs that an AI agent can easily read, understand, and interact with. This is already giving rise to a whole new field that you are going to hear a lot more about, AIO, or AI optimization. For years, companies have spent billions on SEO, search engine optimization, to make sure their sites rank highly when a human searches on Google. Soon, they will need to spend just as much on AIO to ensure that these powerful AI agents can effectively find their products, understand their services, and, most importantly, transact with them. It's a whole new paradigm for web development. But, and this is a huge but, this incredible, almost magical convenience comes at a very steep potential price. For an AI agent to be truly effective, to book that trip or manage your complex work projects, it needs to know you. And not just a little bit. It needs to know everything about you. It needs access to your browsing history, your private emails, your work and personal calendars, your contacts, maybe even your financial data and location history. This creates what many are now calling a Faustian bargain. The promise is unprecedented power and ease, a digital agent that seamlessly manages the complexities of your life. The price we pay for that is our data, our privacy, our digital sovereignty. How much of our private lives are we willing to trade for this new level of convenience? This is the central ethical dilemma that will define the next decade of the internet. And this leads us to one final and perhaps most profound question. As we begin to outsource more and more of our core cognitive tasks, the act of summarizing, of researching, of comparing, of planning, are we at risk of our own mental skills beginning to atrophy? We've already seen hints of this in other areas. An over-reliance on GPS navigation can demonstrably weaken our innate human ability to form mental maps and navigate. This raises the specter of what you might call cognitive debt. The very tool that we have always used as our primary gateway for learning and discovery, the browser, could morph into a tool for intellectual outsourcing, a tool that makes us less capable of thinking for ourselves without its help. So we have come a long way. We've journeyed from the simple friction of having too many tabs open, all the way to the awe-inspiring horizon of agentic AI. We've seen how the humble web browser is being completely reborn as an intelligent copilot, and how that rebirth has sparked a new, high-stakes war between the world's biggest tech companies. This new digital frontier promises us a future of incredible productivity and convenience, but it also comes with very real risks. Risks to our privacy, to the open web, and perhaps even to our own critical thinking skills. And so the ultimate question, the ultimate challenge for all of us, for the users who will use these tools, and for the developers and builders who are creating them, is how do we navigate this incredible new world? How do we ensure that we build and use tools that truly empower us, that augment our own intelligence, without accidentally diminishing the very human capabilities that allowed us to create them in the first place? Thanks for joining this explainer.